With Montrezl Harrell's contract set to expire at the end of this season, becoming a free agent, should the Raptors look to him for help in the front court? Let's get into it. Welcome to Amateur Sports, where we are so close to that 500 subscriber mark. So make sure if you enjoy the video at any time today, you hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with the 4 NBA videos we post a week. But on to today's topic, Montrezl Harrell, whose contract is expiring this offseason. So he will be a free agent. Obviously, the Clippers have some ties with him, but the Raptors, who need some help in the front court after they may lose all 3 of Boucher, Gasol, and Ibaka. So is he a guy that they should be pursuing in the offseason to help them for next season if they want to be contenders again? And I'm sure Masai Ujiri, on the last year of his contract, he may resign. I think he will resign, but do they want to go be a contender again next season? I mean, with the pieces they have, of course, they're going to want to go out and do it. But is Harrell the right guy for them to go out and do that? I'm not exactly sure if Montrezl Harrell is the man for the Raptors. You know, he's coming off winning a 6th Man of the Year. Yes, but that's, I think, what he is. He is a guy who needs to come off the bench. He's more of a center for today's NBA. I don't think he's been getting a lot of power forward minutes. Obviously, you can kind of share the court and put him at power forward, but ideally, you want Montrezl Harrell to be playing at center. But Harrell's listed as 6'7", hence why he typically comes off the bench, because he is very undersized for his position. And sure, he's got decent handles and he can put the ball in the basket for sure. He's a scorer, but he has a lot of deficiencies to his game as well. He lacks some ability on defense, especially when he's playing against a bigger opponent, obviously, because most centers in the NBA, if not all centers in the NBA, are taller than this guy. So he's going to struggle. He struggled in the playoffs, especially in that Nuggets series, because Nikola Jokic absolutely towers him. Harrell has struggled at times throughout the playoffs, but again, he won 6th Man of the Year. So he'd be some great scoring off the bench if you can get a proper big man to start the game, like the Clippers did with Zubac starting the games, and then you had Harrell coming off the bench to be a scorer. The problem is, Toronto have money problems. Not really money problems, but there's a lot of guys that need to get paid. Fred VanVleet is one of them, and he is a priority. I have a video talking about the Fred VanVleet contract situation if you want to go check that out. But Fred VanVleet, he needs to get paid this offseason, and the Raptors are certainly saving their money for the next offseason where they want to go after a max free agent. Whether that is Giannis remains to be seen, but still, Masai has everything set up so that they can go after that max free agent. Because as of this moment today, at the time of recording, there are only 3 players who have a contract that go beyond the next offseason. That is Pascal Siakam with his max contract, and Matt Thomas and Dewan Hernandez, who have about $3.5 million contracts, somewhere around there. Very low amount of money. But if the season were to start today, Dewan Hernandez would be the first choice center for the Toronto Raptors. I don't think I ever want to see Dewan Hernandez starting a game for the Toronto Raptors. I mean, maybe in the future if he somehow really starts to push on and develop, but I do not want to see Dewan Hernandez touch a basketball court this season based on anything I've seen from him so far. He can prove me wrong for sure, but you can forgive me for saying that I don't want to see that. They need some help in the front court, and if Montrezl Harrell is the best one available in free agency, maybe they can pursue that. And sure, maybe on a defensive standpoint, he's good because he has a lot of switchability. You know, the Raptors like to run that defense, maybe a zone defense where they can switch a lot. And Montrezl Harrell is a guy who can help coordinate that. You know, he can get out on the perimeter and still D up players. But even still, you got to give Montrezl Harrell a big payday. I think there's going to be a lot of teams looking for him. The Clippers are obviously favorites to re-sign him. I know that the Clippers want him, and he wants to stay there, wants to run it back. He knows they're a contender next year. I think the Clippers will be better having used their experiences from this year and will be better in the next season. I think they'll be even stronger, but that's not the part of this video. What we're talking about is Montrezl Harrell, and there's a lot of teams like the Knicks and like other teams like the Raptors who are interested in him. So I think he's going to get a contract in the low 20 million range, especially if there's, you know, a bidding war kind of going on and Harrell's looking out for his money. He could be getting about $20 million. And the Raptors really don't need to be paying that to a guy like Montrezl Harrell, who has a lot of deficiencies in his game, like I was talking about before. The Clippers typically fare better in the playoffs, at least, when he wasn't on the court. He's not a huge contributor to winning in big games just because of his deficiencies on defense. And if you are playing a team who has a proper big like Nikola Jokic or a Joel Embiid, you are going to struggle with running Montrezl Harrell as your 5-man. He's just going to get completely overpowered. Sure, he's decent at sizing up guys who are bigger than him, but he has to adjust to that. And still, the guys who are proper and huge, Montrezl Harrell is not going to be able to compete with them. So Montrezl Harrell is a great player. I like what I see from Montrezl Harrell, but he's a guy who needs to come off the bench. And the Raptors, who need to pay Freddie, who need to pay OG Anunoby soon enough, they cannot afford to be paying a guy coming off the bench that sum of money. Another big issue associated with Montrezl Harrell is that, well, the Raptors like to spread their bigs onto the perimeter on offense. Montrezl Harrell did not hit a three-pointer not even once did he hit a three-pointer this season. He attempted 18 of them, did not hit a single one. So a undersized big who cannot stretch the floor, who is not great on defense, who can cause you problems on defense, and isn't the best ball handler on the perimeter either, that I don't think is going to tailor towards the Toronto Raptors. I think that the best course of action would be to re-sign Serge Ibaka. I really like Serge Ibaka. I think he can go back into a starting role. Last season, his time with the Raptors was really his first time always coming off the bench. And in the situations in the playoffs where the Raptors weren't playing well, he came off the bench and really lit the spark under the Raptors to get them back in some games. Obviously, they still fell in the second round, just like Montrezl Harrell and the LA Clippers did. But Serge Ibaka, I think, was a big player for the Toronto Raptors over the course of the season, over the course of the playoffs last season and this season. I think we can get him for maybe $16, $17, $18 million, which isn't the end of the world, maybe on a one-year contract. I know Serge Ibaka loves playing in Toronto. He loves the city. I think his fame and popularity as a brand for himself has significantly improved by being in Toronto because the fans love him. He's got his cooking show on YouTube. A lot of things are going right for Serge Ibaka by playing in Toronto, and I think he will want to stay, and maybe at his age he'll give us a bit of a cut price to stay there, but maybe he wants to secure the bag and get more of a long-term contract while he's still in this great state, coming off probably the best season of his career. If he can get paid by the Houston Rockets, who need a big who can spread the floor, he might feel more inclined to take that. I hope we can keep him. I think the best choice for the Raptors in terms of their front court situation is to go after Serge Ibaka, because there are quite a few free agent centers on the market, but they can't really spread the floor. Like, you look at Montrezl Harrell, who can't hit threes. Andre Drummond is going to be a guy there. Tristan Thompson, another one. There's a lot of centers on the market. Aaron Baines, he's one who can actually spread the floor, but he maybe lacks a little bit of quality. But it'd be funny. I'd love to see Aaron Baines in Toronto, but unlikely, very unlikely to happen. The Raptors could use a center who can spread the floor, and the best one on the market is Serge Ibaka. And luckily, he's one who just left, and you can easily get him back if you give him the right amount of money. I don't know if I want him beyond this season. Masai certainly has this project set so that, Lowry's big contract expires after next season, and there's a ton of cap space left. And Fred VanVleet needs his money as well. OG Anunoby is going to need his money. Eventually, he's still on his rookie deal, so you got to prepare for all these things. You don't want to lose guys like OG Anunoby, who I think is on course to be a special player in the NBA. Ultimately, I have full faith. I believe in Masai, so I don't think there's any reason to panic about the front court situation. I think he'll get the deals done that need to get done in order for the Raptors to be competitive again next season. I think Siakam's going to take another jump. I think OG and Fred are going to take another jump. I just pray Fred is taking that jump with the Toronto Raptors. I have full faith. I just don't think that the best course of action is for the Toronto Raptors to go after Montrezl Harrell in free agency. It just doesn't fit the system, and the amount you're paying him for the role he's going to play as a six-man, it's just not worth it for me. Ideally, again, Serge Ibaka comes back. I wouldn't mind re-signing Chris Boucher, but you need a proper backup, and I don't think that guy can be Chris Boucher. But Ideally, I want Serge Ibaka to be the starting 5. I'd let Gasol walk unless he's prepared to take a very low contract. I don't think there's any sense in tying up money in that guy. That's the ideal situation. I think the Raptors are still going to be competitive next year, but a lot of work needs to be done in this offseason. The team will not be the same as it was this year. A lot of changes coming. I just hope the key pieces like Fred VanVleet are still going to be a part of that. So that wraps up what I have to say. What do you guys make of this Montrezl Harrell situation? Do you think he is a great fit for the Toronto Raptors? Do you think there is another free agent big out there that the Raptors can acquire, or maybe somebody they can even trade for? Who do you want to see starting at the 5 for the Toronto Raptors when next season starts? Let me know in the comments down below. But thank you so much for watching. If you are still here, please like the video if you did enjoy at any point, and hit that subscribe button. We are so close to 500 subscribers. Hopefully we hit it in the next week or so, and we push onwards from there. At the end of the day, I believe what I say. If you disagree, that is okay. We will see you again next time.